1988, the bicentennial year, started with the possibility of conflict and controversy, but as the book chronicles, ended as one long party.
What we've got here is a picture book that people can remember those fond memories of the bicentennial.
Compiled by photojournalist Mal Carney and photographer Mike Dawson, the book traces important visits, concerts and events that punctuated a year of celebration in Newcastle.
Normally low-profile activists have gone public in a bid to remove Senator Morris from his position as honorary president, a move that is shaping up to follow the public factional fighting in the recent Transport Workers Union ballot. State organiser for the Liquor Trades Union, Pat Reeves, who is challenging Senator Morris, claims the senator is out of touch with members.
We feel the last 3 years have been non-productive. There's been nothing done for this union. In fact, we're going backwards.
Mr Reeves has taken out a Supreme Court order requiring Senator Morris to produce all bank statements and other documents relating to the union and to refrain from using any union monies. The public brawling continued with Senator Morris filing a Supreme Court action against Mr Reeves over alleged defamation of the senator's character. Today, Senator Morris was unavailable for comment. Mr Reeves says if he is elected, the entire direction of the union at the moment will be turned around.
And we have 28 awards or agreements to cover. That's the first thing we'll be doing to make sure that our members receive that $30 increase through that restructuring. And also conditions for apprentices in our awards are absolute disgrace. We'll be attacking those kind of things with award conditions and wages first, and making the union more accessible to its members. We are known as the secretive society in the trade union movement, and that's all going to come to an end.
Union members go to the ballot box on the 7th of June, and the bitterness is expected to continue until voting day.
Speaking at a press conference this afternoon, Mr Duffy stressed the importance of his international trade talks to the economy of an agricultural and industrial exporting centre like Newcastle. He said recent talks in Geneva between the 90 member countries of GATT had made progress in giving Australia a fairer slice of the world agricultural market.
A massive amount of money that's been spent in the United States, billions of dollars, and the same of course in the European community, on subsidising the agricultural produce through the Common Agricultural Policy, has grotesquely distorted trade in agriculture. And I think that as a result of the meeting in Geneva in April, that is going to get better.
But the prospects for our mineral and energy exports are still gloomy. Mr Duffy says it will be much harder to make breakthroughs against countries like Germany, Japan and the UK, who subsidise their mineral industries to the tune of $15 billion a year.
It seems like the last place one would look for the designer of Australia's newest children's fashion craze. Up here in the Waibong district, cattle are just about all the local farms turn out. But then Diane O'Neill-Shaw believes there's far more to life than just a pack of cows. So 2 years ago, her husband Bob decided to put their futures and their farm on the line for Diane's designing talents and launched Echidna.
Well, it was conceived actually when I was overseas about 10 years ago, and I saw a little shop over there and decided that I wanted to do big clothes and make them small. And then 8 years ago, when all the big Australiana thing, and there was kangaroochi and all these sorts of things, and everybody was going for kangaroos, platypuses and koalas and all that thing, but nobody thought of the echidna. I mean, he's really the lost animal in the Australian wildlife. So, you know, echidna was the perfect name to suit what it was.
Originally, it was just supposed to be a small cottage industry that would keep Diane busy and offer a little extra income. But somehow the whole echidna concept got out of hand, and before Diane knew it, she was turning out 10,000 garments a season. The rapid growth meant a few changes. Such a growing business obviously needed headquarters. So now the nucleus of this thriving industry is here, a tiny chapel-like studio at the rear of the farmhouse. Diane and Bob attribute much of Echidna's success to the fact that it's been kept in the country and kept in the family.
Well, I've got my sister-in-law helping me with screen printing and doing everything like that, doing the books and things like that. My sister does all the artwork. My poor mother comes out here and heat sets the designs when we're really busy. And my husband, I mean, he has to come in and help print too.
Already Echidna has been snapped up by the major national department stores as well as dozens of exclusive boutiques across Australia. But it seems far more is in store for this girl from the bush. Already strong interest is being shown by many overseas buyers, enchanted by Diane's designs and the quaint Australian image.
Tuesday's signing of the Statement of Common Purpose was heralded as a major step forward in industrial relations and an extra incentive for the frigate contract to come to Newcastle. But according to the Newcastle branch of the FIA, it's not worth the paper it's written on. With 10,000 members, it's the largest ironworkers union in the area. Something like 75% of the members will be working on the contract if it is won, and they are angry that they were not consulted on the agreement. Mark Stoker, an organiser with the FIA, says the concept of industrial peace is a good one. But with so many members actually working on the project, the FIA expects better treatment.
What we're really saying is that we should be party to this. It was an industrial accord that they spoke about in the press, and I don't think anyone really has the authority to sign any industrial accord or agreement without certainly talking to our secretary.
It's probably the last civilised meal these folk will enjoy for the next 2 weeks, so the Newcastle crew for this year's bash tucked into breakfast at the King Street McDonald's with relish this morning. And no wonder, over the next 2 weeks they'll encounter swollen floodwaters, axle-deep mud, will be bribed and cheated, and likely will suffer from extreme exhaustion.
You can tend to get waylaid for one reason or another, you know, like up to here with water or mud or cocktail even better. We sometimes pull up on the side of the road and start a little cocktail party. That can take 1 or 5 hours.
Robin Fairhall and her husband Alan have completed the bash twice before. In fact, all the Newcastle entrants are veterans, so they admitted to being well prepared for what was ahead of them when they set out from Bondi with the rest of the 1,000-strong field tomorrow. A host of musical, sporting and colourful personalities will be among the throng, but despite the many hurdles they must overcome, participant Brian McDermott says the Novocastrians will always stick together.
Something unique about Newcastle, there's 235 cars and this is the only team. It's Newcastle's one of those little situations, there's 6 cars and the 6 cars are very, very close friends.
One of the key stopover points for the local contingent will be Newcastle Waters, which is simply a giant pub sitting in the middle of the Northern Territory. There they'll be officially welcomed and the one-pub town will be turned into a city of Newcastle for the day. There'll be an auction of Newcastle items to raise funds, and this morning as he waved them off, Lord Mayor John McNaughton contributed a last-minute entry to that auction.
Duke of Edinburgh said, "What was that?" he was sitting between Mark and me. No, he said, I hear you've torn... I'm not sure this ought to be on television. I hear you're torn your pants. That's how I did. I took the auction at Newcastle Water. This is the pair of pants. And just so this is not nonsense, that's exactly how I read it.
As the abundance of signwriting on the cars proved, the Newcastle entrants have attracted many sponsors. That money will be used to help the bash raise more than $2 million for underprivileged and handicapped children. And from the funds raised locally, some money will be given to the building of a Ronald McDonald House at Regent Park Hospital, which made those sausage and egg McMuffins this morning taste all the more satisfying. Tracy Reid, NBN News.
Many changes for the
Mrs. Chadwick is the highest-ranking guest the Warramai radio program has hosted since the half-hourly show first went to air on Newcastle University Radio several months ago. Mrs. Chadwick was grilled by a panel of 3 youngsters on everything from her most embarrassing moment to the prospect of pay rises for Warramai youth workers. However, the discussions proved revealing to both parties.
I've been in 3 youth detention centres this year, and they all seem different to me. Why is that?
Well, one, I think it's really grim that you've been in 3 detention centres this year, and I hope Warramai is going to be the last and we don't see you back again. Having said that,
Mrs. Chadwick said the interview had given her new insights into the young lives, which are, ultimately, her responsibility.
I was not only cross, I was rather sad that people of such tender years should be talking about a few years' time and I might be in Long Bay. I'd like to think that their time with us developed a lot more positive attitude towards what the future holds for them.
It's good experience, lots of experience, like you come into places like this and you know, you get to learn how to work the machines and that and talk on the microphones without stuttering and all that, so it's really good.
So you think maybe you've got a future in radio or something like that?
I think we're pushing it a bit, but who knows?
"150 people attended the last day of the seminar today at the McWilliam and Casuarina estates. The course was designed to bring hunter growers up to date with the latest technology in developing vine leaf canopies, branch training and trellising. Secretary of the Hunter Valley Vineyard Association, Barry Shields, says the response from growers has been outstanding.
Well, I think most of the grape growers and the wineries are represented here today. We've also seemed to have a good collection of hobby farmers, Pitt Street farmers if you like, and we're quite pleased with that because a lot of them are investing quite substantial money in growing vineyards, and one of the purposes of this exercise is to make sure that what they grow is the right rootstock and they finish up with a nice healthy vineyard to provide good grapes. We don't really care who grows the grapes as long as they're nice and healthy.
Vineyard owners were split into groups at times to study different grafting techniques and to view the latest in pruning machinery from France. Organisers were pushing the theme of mechanising different stages of production to reduce manpower costs. Principal Research Scientist for the CSIRO, Peter Kalingalefa, says local growers must open their minds to new methods of vine management or they will be left behind producing good wines but at an unrealistic price.
With minimal prune systems we get a very open canopy, a very short shoot growth, a control of the shoot vigour, and the bunches are all exposed towards the outside of the canopy, so they're in a good environment for wine quality, and they're also more easy to control the disease problems.
The new owners, Melbourne company Concord Corporation, has big plans to revitalise Market Square. They include a new central stage for public entertainment, more open spaces and covered seating. New managing agents Baillieu Knight Frank said the next 12 months will see significant improvements. The Hunter Mall is expected to receive a total facelift, and improvements will be in keeping with recent harbour foreshore developments. The covered walkway from the mall to the foreshore will also be improved.
At present, the Port of Newcastle is patrolled by customs officers 24 hours a day, but under new rosters announced by the Australian Customs Service, the night patrol from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is to be abolished. The news has outraged Police Minister Ted Pickering.
If you know that you can walk off a coal boat in Newcastle Harbour after midnight with a pocket full of heroin, and there is no way in the world that there's going to be an angry customs agent waiting for you at the bottom of the gangplank, then that is highly irresponsible.
The Newcastle Customs Service angrily rejects that suggestion, saying the dog watch was irrelevant and the man-hours could be better employed in intelligence gathering and surveillance.
What we are entering is a time where we need to risk rate every vessel that comes into this harbour. If the risk is great, then there's going to be more people in the hours that are the worry hours than there would be now under the current system. I intend to put my resources where the risk is.
Do you really have enough resources either way?
Yes, I consider that I do.
Several comparable ports in Australia have already done away with night patrols in favour of so-called contraband enforcement teams, or SET. Mr Pickering supports the creation of SET teams, but not at the expense of existing patrols.
I applaud that. That's a sensible thing to do. But you don't do that and abandon the barrier control entirely. Can you imagine what would happen if passengers at Sydney Airport knew that there was no customs officers to possibly catch them for bringing in heroin? The place would flood with heroin overnight.
Mayfield Police received their first reports of the thefts just over a month ago. Since then, the burglars have struck with alarming regularity and brazenness. Last night, in the car park at Tube Makers in Mayfield, 9 cars were hit. At the time, the car park was under watch by security guards and a security camera. The guards have told police they saw neither hide nor hair of the thieves. Also hit last night was the car park at the Bella Vista Reception Centre a short distance away. There, once again, no one reported seeing anyone acting suspiciously. Police believe part of the thief's success is a break-in device which they're using. It's able to unlock the driver's side door with a minimum of damage. Once inside, the thieves are ransacking the cars, usually overlooking valuable audio equipment in favour of cash and small personal items. So far, the bandits have confined their activities to the Mayfield and Mayfield West areas. Police are now planning a stepped-up watch on those areas in a bid to catch the thieves at work, but they're also calling on residents to park their cars in well-lit zones and contact them immediately if they notice anyone acting suspiciously.
The Gosford course has been closed 28 days out of the last 30 due to the wet weather. With more than 1,000 millimetres of rain falling in the area this year, the course hasn't had a chance to dry out and has remained open only a few days at a time, with the use of only a small number of holes and no buggies allowed. Trainee golf pro at the course, Mark Sullivan, says profits have slumped because nobody can play.
We've had no social play at all. When the course has been open, we've only been getting a handful of social players in at a time. It's been terrible.
And of course, only having a handful in it can do more damage than the fees you're actually bringing in.
Yeah, it doesn't help a lot. The way the course is at the moment, we haven't had an opportunity for the machinery to go out on the course. The fairways haven't been mown. So when the players do go out, they're sort of not doing the course any great favours.
The unusual turn of weather has forced the club into levying its members $50 to try and recoup losses. The only saving grace is that the club has agreed not to raise annual subscriptions. The club has also asked all members to attend a working bee on the weekend with their mowers and spades to mow fairways and to clean blocked drains.
A capacity field of 20 will face the starter and the false rail will be in operation, which will favour horses racing close to the lead on the tight circuit. Hardy Victorian stayer Dandy Andy is listed at 15 to 1 in pre-post markets, and he is great each way value. Dandy Andy has drawn ideally in barrier 6. He has top jockey Harry White on board and indicated he was at his top when he humped 60 kilograms to victory at Flemington on May the 15th. Australasia's highest stakes winner, Our Poetic Prince, is the early favourite for the Cup, while there is local interest in Lord Highbrow to be ridden by Robert Thompson and Eye of the Sky to be ridden by Wayne Harris. Gary Harley's trifecta on the Cup is 3, 4 and 5, Dandy Andy to beat Phil Dancer and Lord Highbrow, and for the legs of the Daily Double at Doomben, number 4 Potrero in the first leg and Sir Midas in the second leg. Racing in Sydney tomorrow is at Randwick. Hunter and Prince Trialia are Gary's suggestions for the legs of the Daily Double, and Prince Trialia, Prince Invader and Prankster are tipped to fill the placings in the trifecta. Locally on the weekend it's Beaumont Park, and you should try Day's Word and Silhouette Miss in the Daily Double legs, and 5, 6 and 4, Ebony Desire, Tulls Express and Bill the Gent should be the place getters in the Country Stayers Classic Final, the trifecta race. And for the trotting enthusiasts, racing at Cessnock tomorrow night, and Gary picks My Lord Morano and Charcoal Lad to win the legs of the Daily Double. Thorate, Lots of Kings and Tricky One are the horses for the trifecta. Hope you make $1 or two.
Director of the appeal, Captain Graham Want, accepted the cheque from the chairman of NBN, Mr Joe Sweeney, who urged the community to give generously at the Sally's door knock appeal this Sunday. A major recipient in the Hunter this year will be the SOS Centre for Homeless Youth in Gibson Street. Knights captain Sam Stewart, halfback Steve Fulmer and coach Alan McMahon joined Lee Morn and Graham Hards at a Meet the Players morning tea at the centre today. It was a chance for some of the youth to meet their heroes and talk about the team. Coming from an environment where the next meal is always in doubt and a roof over their heads is not assured each night, it was heartening for the street kids to see the Knights supporting the Salvation Army in this way. Support also came from a group of Newcastle women who formed the Hunter 2000 committee. At a recent fundraising evening at Windward Passage, they raised $3,300 and have bought an emergency services trailer for the salvos. This mobile catering unit will be able to supply 300 meals an hour for volunteers working in times of emergency.
Redhead Bowling Club conducted a triples tournament today and it concluded in a fine final. The three of Jack Blackett, Neville Gilmore and George Dryden from Merriweather ran out the eventual winners, beating Frank Wilson, Kevin Lake and Don Bailey 18-16. Blackett's team got away to an early 8-0 lead, but Wilson pegged them back and the lead seesawed many times before the Merriweather combination won through. At the Islington Bowling Club, the annual match between Newcastle and Illawarra for the Howard Shield was fought out. The hosts were the defending holders of the Shield and retained it with a brilliant 171-134 victory. The Shield has been played for over the past 20 years and 28 bowlers from each district played excellent games today in fine conditions.